Hello guys and welcome to the Bleepot Podcast YouTube channel, and yes, it's time for another battle report. Thank you for all your comments on the first one, so let's get straight into the second one. Okay, starting off with Rich's army, we're going to kick it off. He took Warwich de Negra, a full unit of Mechana Thralls with a Brute Thrall attachment. He took the Wither Shadow Combine. He took a Death Ripper. He also took a Defiler, Ripsaw, a Reaper, the Machine Wraith, and the Blood Gorgers. He also took a Scarlet Thrall, but I forgot to take a photo of it. I took the Butcher and a War Dog. I also took a full unit of Man-O-War Shock Troopers, a Decimator, a Juggernaut, the Winter Guard Mortar, a full unit of Winter Guard with the UA, Kovnik Joe, and the Manhunter, which is still being painted. And that is our armies, guys, and let's get straight into the game. Rich and me are going to do another game. Again, it's Khador versus Crix, and we've done something different, didn't we, Rich? We all picked a new kind of, how can we put it, a caster list, and then we rolled off to see...
Picked three casters, made three sort of different types of lists.
Yep.
And then we all both rolled off to see who'd fight which army.
Yeah, pretty much. So, Rich, you get to go first this time, because from the last report you made me go first, so you won the dice off. And the scenario is...
No Man's Land.
No Man's Land. Do you want to explain No Man's Land for us, Rich?
Basically, we've got the No Man's Land in the middle here.
Okay.
And the idea is after the third turn, you have to have something in No Man's Land with at least one command, else otherwise you win.
Okay. So kind of like Mosh Pit, but it has a huge line through the board.
Bigger board.
Fun times. Okay, Rich's first turn, he allocated one focus to each of his jacks, so that's one to the Death Ripper, Defiler, Reaper, and Ripjaw even, sorry, and kept 4 for himself. He then ran up the Mechana Thralls just outside of the No Man's Land area, with the UA attachment also following. He then ran up the Wither Shadow Combine. He then activated the Scrape Thrall, moved him up, and cast Ghostly on the Blood Augurs. And he then activated those guys, and they ran up. And then he ran up the Death Ripper, the Defiler, Ripjaw, and the Reaper. As you can see, Rich is really making sure that in the first turn his jacks and pretty much half his army, well, all his army really, are getting into the No Man's Land ready for a congesting second turn. He then moves the Warcaster up, runs her up so she's just outside. And then he runs up the Machine Wraith. So, as we've said before many a times, turn 1 in War Machine is always about running and walking up the field. End of his turn. Okay, my turn. I activate the Butcher and I allocate one focus to the Juggernaut and to the Decimator and keep 4 for himself. I then activate the Juggernaut and spend the one focus to run him up. I then activate the Decimator and run him up, spending the one focus. I activate the Man-O-Wars and run them up, so they no longer have shield wall at the moment. So they're just running up. I need to get them up quickly because obviously his models are getting into the No Man's Land really quick. I then activate the Butcher and run him up the board. I then obviously run up the War Dog just to plop him in front of the Butcher. I then activate Joe and give him the command for the Motherland on the Mortar, giving it boosted attack rolls. I then activate the mortar to shoot at the Mechanophrals. It has a range of 20. It's just out, so it hits the hedge, and we'll see where it scatters. Scatters 2, so it's going into them, but at an angle at 5, and it clips 3 of them. The first one hits, dead, and miss, so 2 die. And then with the Winter Guard, I just run them up, which is kind of a mistake because I was out of range with the Butcher, so I couldn't cast Iron Flesh on them, so they're at a really weak defense, which is at a very disadvantage for me. And then I moved the Manhunter into the forest to give it a bit of cover. End of my turn. So as you can see at the end of turn 1, everything's moved up. Rich has quite a lot of pieces in the No Man's Land. I'm just about to hit it. But as you can see, War Machine's all about moving up in the first turns. Okay, at the beginning of a turn, the Shadow Combine will upkeep Ghostly, and she allocates 3 to free focus to the Reaper and 4 to herself. Then the Death Ripper walks up, and then Rich activates Denegra and then pops her feet and witches the Withering, and all models in her control area basically get -2 speed, strength, mat, rat, defense, armor, and focus. And as you can see, that is everything on the board practically. So things can't run or do special attacks also. So then she casts Influence on the Man at War through the Arcanode in the Death Ripper. And if this hits, he can take control of it and do damage. So he does, and here comes some damage. And yeah, the Man at War kills his own pal. Okay, and then next, after that, she also casts Crippling Grasp on the Decimator, which hits. So now that has got -2 armor as well, and -2 movement and all that jazz, so it can't move, and its armor is ridiculous and all that jazz. It then moves up the Defiler, activates it, and then sprays the Winter Guard, killing 5 of them. Nasty. Then he'll move up the Scarlock and cast Ghost Walk on the Mechanophrals. And then the Mechanophrals, he activates them and charges the Manhunter and also the Winter Guard. Because they've got Ghost Walk, they ignore all that kind of terrain bonuses, which is rather annoying. So it's going to charge the Manhunter and the front Winter Guard guy. And as you can see, only a few can get in, and the rest are all just going to pop out there. So the first Mechanophral hits, and damages and kills the Manhunter. Okay, and then the Winter Guard, it does a couple of attacks. The first one misses, the second one gets it, does a couple of attacks on the Winter Guard, and then eventually does kill it. He then activates the Ripjaw and walks it up. He then walks up the Reaper and tries to shoot its harpoon at the Decimator, but is out of range. He then moves up the Machine Wraith. He then activates the Blood Gorgers and runs them into the woods. They still have Ghostly on them, so they just run into the woods. So as you can see, Rich is really taking ground here. And then he uses the Shadow Winter Combine and runs them up to the field. And that is the end of Rich's second turn. Okay, turn 2 with -2 focus and everything. Butcher's going to keep it. So then the Butcher moves up and then casts Iron Flesh on the Winter Guard, so that makes them ridiculously high defense, which I should have done the first turn, but I finally got round to do it. We then activate Covenant Joe. He moves up and casts, for the Motherland, on the Winter Guard, so that's boosted attack rolls. And for some bizarre reason, Joe falls over here, probably because he's had a bit too many. But anyway, yeah, boosted attack rolls on the Winter Guard. And I think you guys can see what's happening now. So the Winter Guard move up and do the spray, and trust me, on the Mechanophrals this is going to hurt. So they all move up. And start spraying, and as you can see that looks like a lot of death. And trust me, it is. They kill 7 Mechanophrals and the unit attachment of the Bruteful. Now, the Mortar's going to take a pot shot at the remaining Mechanophral. It misses, and it scatters. Then the War Dog is just going to stay where it is. Then the Man at War are just going to move into the No Man's Lands in Shield Wall, so they're just inside the No Man's Land, which is good. I then activate the Juggernaut and only move it up inch 2, and I can't really move the Decimator up because of the feet and Crippling Grasp on it, ending my second turn. So Rich, turn 2. You can do the talking because you did bloody everything.
Right, end of turn 2, my Mechanothrals sort of ran up, killed 1 and then got killed in return. But the Defiler managed to kill 5 Winter Guard.
Yep.
A cracking spell through an Arc Node managed to mean that killed 1, was it Man of War? Mm-hmm. Well, one of the own Man of War killed his mate.
So pretty much you did all the damage and I just couldn't move up because Khador is slow already, and now with -2 to pretty much everything, with the blooming Decimator who can't do anything anyway, and he could only move up 2, and I've only got the Man of War just in, so I could have almost failed, so you're doing well, mate. You're doing too well.
I'm happy.
Come back to turn 3. And that's another battle report half done, guys. If you want to watch the second part of this battle report, click the window below. And if you want to subscribe to my video feed and my channel, please click the subscribe box below and see who will win this amazing fight between Crix and Khador. And trust me, it definitely goes down to the wire.